Freelancing is the dream job. You get to work from anywhere, say yes or no to whatever clients you want to work with, and generally do what you love for a living. But the reality is, it's not for everybody. And in this video, I'm going to share 5 reality checks about freelancing that might make you rethink this whole dream of yours, because if you can't navigate through all of these, you're not going to cope with this career path for the long run. If you're new here, I'm Adam. I've been a freelance videographer and filmmaker now for the last decade, and I've experienced the range of highs and lows that freelance living brings with it, including our first point, struggles with self-motivation. Going through educational institutions like all of us have been, where there's a very clear structure of you have a boss or a superior, you follow what they do, and then you get the results that they expect from you and that you want for yourself. The problem with freelancing is that you're your own boss, and you have to actually actively take steps every single day to put your head down and actually make progress on the things that will mean that your freelance business can actually thrive. And the problem is we're just not taught how to do this self-motivation, how to work when we don't have somebody kind of holding us accountable above us. And for a lot of people, when they try freelancing, this is an unexpected difficulty that they just can't get over, because having to work from home and have your office at home, which is usually the case as a freelancer when you're starting out, you're trying to create an environment that is supposed to be, or maybe used to be, like a relaxing space for you, where you'd come home from your 9 to 5 and then you'd chill at home and cook and do all your other stuff. But then you're trying to also turn this into an office where you can wake up and motivate yourself and actually hold yourself accountable while working from your living room sofa, maybe. It's not easy for a lot of people. And honestly, you're either going to really, really love this freedom, and you're gonna wish, oh my god, this is the best. I get to work with this dynamic where it's just me, I'm the boss, and I'm so happy that I can actually finally work like this. Or you're absolutely gonna hate it, because that much amount of freedom just given to you to basically say, hey, you're free to do whatever you want, and whether you actually put in the action or not, that is gonna result in you being able to feed yourself or not. So it really is something that is hard to describe unless you really try it for yourself to see whether you have a certain personality that you can really motivate yourself and only yourself, and not have a superior of some kind. When you get into freelancing more, eventually you will figure out little tips and tactics that you can do to help you as a freelancer to stay motivated. And I talk about a lot of them in another video, so I'll leave some in the description. But at first, it's going to be very, very difficult. But on the flip side, and this is something that I genuinely experience, is that because you're finally doing something that you actually love, every single day, you're pursuing a discipline and trying to build a business in something that you actually truly care about. You're not just working for a mortgage insurance company or some other job that you kind of don't really care about. You might have liked it, but you don't really care about the outcome and care about the subject matter. The fact that you can be a creative freelancer and work on a discipline and a skill set that you truly care about, for me anyway, that was enough to really motivate me to make this a living in a way that I could actually make money. Yeah, once you turn a creative skill into something that makes you money, it inherently changes your relationship to it a little bit. But I personally think it's way better to have to self-motivate yourself to do something that you would probably do for free anyway, which for me is the metric of knowing that creative freelancing is right for you, than having the extra advantages of having a boss who can hold you accountable. So on the days when, you really don't want to go into the office, you just have to, because you know that the big angry boss man will shout at you if you don't go. Number 2 is networking challenges. Now, how do you find clients, right? You're a freelancer. How do you find people who actually want to hire you for what you do, what your skill is? This is a constant challenge, and there's just no clear path or direct way to get clients. It's not like a normal job where you go on a job website and then you just see job postings for that. Freelancing work is actually kind of getting a little more similar to that now, especially for me as a video editor. There's websites that have basically postings for YouTube editing jobs. But in general, for most creative skills, it's really hard to know how do you even find clients that are willing to pay you for your services. Especially in the beginning, this is going to be really, really hard, because a lot of the early jobs, especially that I got, required me to push outside my comfort zone. Things like sending cold emails or DMs, or even going into production companies to ask for some trainee opportunities. All of this is going to be pretty difficult, especially if you're particularly introverted, because you have to push outside your comfort zone. Unfortunately, with freelancing, fortune favors the brave, as the old cliche goes, because you kind of have to find the opportunities yourself that are usually not advertised openly like the normal job market would be. There are lots of jobs out there, but you just don't know if people actually need it or not, or they don't know that they need it themselves. So it's your responsibility to contact people, reach out, share what you can offer, and make people aware that, hey, having you on their team or working with them or helping them with something would actually be a massive benefit to their business and, you know, what they want to put out to the world. But in a weird way, there's a lot of advantages to this method of finding clients as a creative freelancer, mainly because unlike a normal job market where somebody posts a job opening and you'll be like one of hundreds maybe applying to the thing, being a freelance creative, a lot of times you can find people who have just never been reached out to either well or at all. So there can be a lot of competition in a way, but there's just so many other people who would need your services that many times if you just someone who's a bit bold and, you know, you send that email, you send that custom video message, which I would highly recommend doing. Don't just send like a normal templated email. If you can, like, go above and beyond to show that you're a real person and a real human, then you'll actually stand out way above anybody else who's contacted them. And even if you don't stand out above other people that have contacted them, you could actually be the only person that's contacted them. And that just means that you can create job opportunities that don't exist. And that is a really, really essential skill to have as a creative freelancer, because there's opportunities everywhere. But if you're having this mindset of like, the only way to find jobs is that I need somebody to be posting, hey, I'm looking for a musician. Hey, I'm looking for a graphic designer. Yeah, take those opportunities when they come along. But a lot of the best opportunities that I've personally had came not from people saying that they needed something. It was just me was seeing a creator online that I personally wanted to work with and then just reaching out to them to say, hey, I can help you out. And a lot of times the best jobs are those kind of people versus the ads that people put out. As you probably imagine, it's a harsh reality that most of the outreach that you do, most of the DMs and emails and custom videos and all that good stuff, you're gonna get a lot of rejections and it's gonna hurt at first. It's not gonna be nice. You're gonna start to have existential crisis of like, is this job career path, creative freelancing thing all that it's cranked up to be? Is it really worth, you know, putting time into reaching out to people and getting ghosted, rejected, etc. And yeah, it is hard. It's not easy. It really does require that resilience to just know that the only thing that you can control is the amount of outreaching that you do and getting better at the skill of sending an email or cold email to somebody and kind of selling yourself. Because unfortunately, as creative freelancers, we would do the work for free anyway because we love it that much. But unfortunately, we need to get paid for it or else we're not going to be able to make a living from it. So a lot of kind of the marketing negotiation skills won't come immediately because just landing that first client is the biggest challenge and the biggest struggle for your own like mental well-being. But once you do land that first client and you have the experience of, you know, actually reaching out to people who are warm leads or cold leads, and you start to land clients and see that, hey, people actually like you, and you start to get testimonials and, you know, get people vouching for you, it all becomes a lot easier. So very, very early on, it's really, really hard. You don't have a lot of skills when you're first freelancing because you don't have a lot of clients. So it's kind of a weird endless cycle of like, you need clients to get referrals that you're good, and then that lands you more jobs. It's a weird dynamic in a way, but you just got to know, stick it out, keep working on your own skills, build up a portfolio of some kind, even if it's not doing stuff for other clients. You can just, you know, take a client that you might want to work with and just make a free thing for them and either send it to them or not. Like, you can put it in your portfolio as an example of, hey, these are my skills and this is what I can do. They don't have to actually be paying you money for you to not take advantage of the fact that you can show off your skills and make a portfolio. Like, your portfolio doesn't have to be clients that have literally handed you money. It doesn't work like that. I've had stuff on my previous portfolios of complete freebies that I didn't make any money from, and I spent money on myself to make. So yeah, it's not easy networking. Again, refers back to what I said in the previous point. It does require confidence and going outside of your comfort zone. But as soon as you land that first client, you'll feel such a sense of relief and a high of like, oh my God, actually an achievable reality for me to make money from this creative skill that I love so much. That makes up for all the rejections that you're inevitably going to experience along the way. I myself was looking for new clients a few months ago and I tracked all of the successes and rejections. And as you can see on the screen here, even me with 10 years of experience, I still get ghosted on and ignored a lot of times. But with time, as your portfolio gets better and your skills of sending cold emails improve, that kind of ratio of ghosting to clients who actually respond to you, just responding to you, get a lot better and a lot higher. Number 3 is the lack of financial stability. The reality is that month to month, you're not gonna fully know how much money you're gonna be able to take away from the clients that you're working with month to month. Some clients stick around for a long time and others only, want you for a little bit and then they just don't need you anymore for whatever reason. So you're having to constantly navigate this ebb and flow of having really, really good months where you make a lot of money and then months where you barely take anything and you start to question whether the next month will be the same and the month after that will be the same and yeah, mentally it's a challenge. And a bunch of your financial instability also comes from the fact that you're having to learn all of these new skills, right? Like as a creative person, I didn't have any business skills. Like I didn't want to be a businessman. But unfortunately, if you don't learn, negotiation, marketing, business skills, you're going to get taken advantage of. And we would do all of our creative skills and do all these cool creative things for free, right? We do it for ourselves. And that's why we want to, do this for a living, because we just love being creative so much. And the fact that we get paid for it is just an extra bonus on top. And unfortunately, clients can smell that. And sometimes the bad ones anyway will take advantage of you because you're just so willing to say yes, because getting money from your creative skill just feels like the jackpot. Like, oh my God, I'm getting paid to do this that I would do for free. That's amazing. One pro tip that I'd recommend that I've certainly been guilty of not following previously is to not just rely on one client. It's to always be reaching out to potential clients, to be trading, or rather like upgrading your lower paying, not so fun to work with clients for higher paying clients, because you can maybe land a really awesome client that pays you well and gives you that little bit of financial stability. But as a creative freelancer, you're not really on a contract with them. There's not as clear of a guarantee of this is going to last with them. So it's better to find ways to integrate other clients into your kind of weekly working schedule. So worst case scenario, if that client goes away, you're still getting money. And best case scenario, you can have multiple clients who pay you really well. And then that means that you just get more money that you can save up as a worst case scenario where for whatever reason, all of your clients disappear. And of course, I'm absolutely not going to recommend that if you have like a normal 9-to-5 job now that isn't in a creative field, or even if it is, don't quit that job to just instantly pursue freelancing. If you don't either have like a surplus of money as a safety net, so you can, last at least half a year with getting no money and you won't be homeless if you don't land a client in that time period. Probably won't happen. Because I think the best scenario would be to, have a job that gives you that financial stability. And then in your free time, you try and take on freelance tasks. Yeah, that might mean that you're going to have to, spend time in the evenings and the weekends working when you wish you could relax because you have a very strenuous 9-to-5 job, whatever that may be. But I think it's the best way to build up your skills and to put yourself out there as a creative freelancer while having a really good safety net. Unless you're in a position where, you've just finished university and your studies and you can stay living back at home and, you can have a mother to support you and feed you to some degree, or a lot in my case, Italian mother, fresh homemade pasta every day, then go for it. Like you might as well just go full on with this creative freelancing path. But if you're already somebody who's like, you have family and a mortgage and other responsibilities, then I would strongly recommend not quitting your paying stable job to pursue creative freelancing. Like, it's just not worth the risk. Do it on the side. And when you've got to a point where you can see that that area is making you money and it makes you happier as well, most importantly, then you can jump ship with more of a sense of stability, knowing like, okay, I know this can work. I'm not just playing guesswork. Like I've put the time into finding other clients, building up a portfolio, and I have a really strong feeling that this is something that can sustain me and my family and other responsibilities that you might have at the time. Don't fall into the stupid glamorized like creative of, you sacrificed everything and you went and you lived on the streets for a bit and then like you finally met that one guy, you gave that one chance and then you became this famous creative. That does happen to some people. Ed Sheeran comes to mind. He sacrificed a lot to get to where he is. Yeah, it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, but and it sounds like a really glamorized path and a cool story that you can tell people, but honestly, like people like Mr. Sheeran are in the 1 percentile of creatives who have tried that and failed. Like you hear his story and it sounds cool, but you don't hear the 99.9% of other creatives that tried to do the same thing and completely like screwed up and had no money and had to go back to stacking shelves in the local supermarket. So don't risk it. That's my personal feeling. Feel free to disagree, but I just think it's better to feel that sense of stability so you can take calculated risks when the opportunities come about. Number 4 is lifestyle sacrifices. I'm 30, going to be 32 years old in a month, and I see people online on my Facebook who have already got the house, the car, the mortgage, all of these kind of success metrics that we perceive as being important in life. And, you know, having a house and a mortgage is a good thing, and I hope to have that one day. And the Tesla that I hope to have outside my apartment one day would be nice to watch my YouTube videos on the tablet. But as a creative, especially creative freelancers, you might not hit those metrics as early as many of the other people in your social circle have, because, you know, they have the stable job, they have the income coming in that is very consistent, and they can really plan out saving for those things and spending their money on those things. And it's really hard because, you know, you think that, oh, would I be happier if I had those things? Would I be happier if I had just a stable job and could afford, you know, the luxury things that we all want, or a lot of us want anyway? And I have a mixed feeling on this, because I think there are some people who would probably be happier having that and then doing a job that they don't like. But in my opinion, work is such a fundamental big part of life, right? It's arguably like a third of the time that you spend just doing stuff is work stuff, right? Sleeping, work stuff, and then like chilling and doing other stuff. I would personally rather have a third of my life, as well as sleep and chilling with friends, be like something that I really, really deeply love and enjoy. And you're not going to love every part of it. I've worked for clients in the past that I don't really vibe with that much, but the money I get and other things, you know, is just part of the job, right? When you do something for work and for money, you're inherently going to lose a little bit of the magic that initially drew you to it. But in my opinion, it's still better than doing a 9-to-5 working for a company that I don't like, just to feel that sense of stability and feel that sense of like, I can walk into my Tesla every day to drive to this job that I don't particularly enjoy. That's just me. Like, I'm not trying to talk bad on anybody who has that and enjoys it, but I think if you're somebody who is like naturally a creative in some way, you're not going to be happy with that. The worst case scenario for me anyway, which would be like moving back home with my mum in the UK. Like, yeah, I don't really want that, but I'm never going to be homeless, thankfully. So my like worst case scenario is not so bad versus the struggle and tribulations that go into having a career path as a creative freelancer. So you've just got to decide, you know, are these sacrifices worth this future that could come about? And I have to say could, because it might not work for you. Like, you might try it and things don't work out. There is luck, unfortunately, involved in every area of life. And being a freelance creative is not devoid of luck. Like, you need a bit of luck, you need a bit of hard work, you need a bit of everything for you to like land clients who really change your life in a sense. But I would rather give it a fair try to see if I can actually do something for a living that I really enjoy versus, you know, having the regret of what if I didn't try to make this part of my life work out for me in terms of career. I would be way more upset, and I think I would be very regretful later in life if I didn't even give it a try. So maybe for you, you know, do the slightly unhealthy things initially of having to work late hours sometimes, work into the evenings and the weekends if you are not already a creative freelancer. See how it feels for you. Give it a fair shot with the sacrifices that you're going to need to like really try and see if you can make this career path work, and then decide from there based on your successes whether or not this is something that in the long term you could realistically keep up with. In a way, I did that as well. I was working in the film industry consistently and then had an opportunity to work for a YouTube channel, and that kind of changed my whole mindset of what I actually want to do as a career path, which is YouTube video editing, making YouTube videos on this channel, helping people, hopefully, versus, you know, waking up at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. sometimes, carrying big heavy lights on a film set. Really fun. I really liked it. I learned a lot, but that's not my path now. I'd rather, you know, shoot stuff, do YouTube content, be a videographer, YouTube editor, YouTuber. And I just was lucky that I met the right people to make me have those realizations of I want those things in life. So test out what sacrifices you're willing to make. Maybe you're not willing to make any, maybe you're willing to make all of them, and then you can really push through the times when you're gonna have to work late into the night, on the weekends, around all the other, you know, social stuff that you might want to do. Just the reality, unfortunately. You're your own boss as a freelance creative. You have to choose what to sacrifice, and sometimes the sacrifice doesn't feel good, but in the long run, in my opinion, it's totally worth the alternative. And finally, number 5 is the loneliness and isolation that you're bound to experience. This is probably the area that was the most unexpected for me, and one that with time I've become more sensitive to. to some degree, because you're going to be working from home or wherever you might be, using as your home office. And you're probably going to be alone unless you have a cool girlfriend or a partner or a cat or a dog or 2 cats in my case. You're basically on your own. And this can be incredibly lonely. Well, in every phase, actually, through the initial phases of trying to find clients, like I mentioned before, sending off that email and being like, I have nobody to share on this journey with and to even ask if I'm going down the right path or doing the right things or making the right decisions. That's really, really lonely. And honestly, that was a big reason why I wanted to start this YouTube channel, because I felt as a creative growing up, like I knew I didn't want a normal job, quote unquote normal job. And I didn't really have anybody else who also felt the same or was going down this path. And I felt like I'm the weirdo, I'm the one who's different. And I just would love to have somebody who was sharing in this, alternative life direction with me. And I didn't have that. And it wasn't until a few years ago where the YouTube channel that I'm still working for, we once had an office. So we were, doing a little bit of the semi-traditional 9-to-5-ish, going in there, working with people as part of the YouTube channel. And I really actually quite like that. I thought I would hate an office environment. Maybe it's a bit different because I actually enjoyed working with everybody and was like all friends with them. So it was a bit different than maybe like a typical office dynamic that a lot of people experience. But I really just loved the kind of camaraderie of us all coming together, working together on a YouTube channel, helping to grow it, and then just hanging out, talking, helping each other with our own side projects and side business creative stuff that we had. And then, a pesky virus came and took that away. But I think this is a common problem that creative freelancers feel. We're all hunkered down, working on our own stuff, trying to hustle. But then there's so many other of us across the world, across cities, everywhere that feel the same, and we don't know where to find other people who have similar goals to us or are in a similar position where you could actually go to a coffee shop twice a week and keep each other accountable and work together. And that's something that I've done before. There's even cool kind of online communities that help with this, things like the creative coffee lunch, where it matches you with different creatives across the cities. I've tried that before, it's quite cool. But I fully empathize and get, like, depending on your personality, that it's going to be a big shock to you to have to just be alone on this path to some degree. It doesn't have to be like that. That's why I want to make videos like this with a community, and hopefully can expand this for other creatives who are in a similar position where, even if it's in an online format, we can all stay in touch and hold each other accountable. That's kind of the whole goal. But there's still going to be many times where you just feel alone, and it doesn't feel very motivating to do everything alone. It just doesn't. Like, we work better in groups. But there's going to be times where you feel very isolated and alone, and you question, is that 9-to-5 normal job better because I actually get to socialize and share things with people? Like, if you just do everything on your own, it's kind of pointless in a way. Not pointless, it just feels, is this really worth it, sort of thing. But that's kind of what I wanted to make this whole channel about. I wanted to create a sense of a community so creatives like me and you guys watching just feel less alone, and we feel like we can share in that journey of navigating all of this, and hopefully that helps with me teaching lessons that I wish I knew 10 years ago when I first started. If you're finding that clients just keep taking advantage of you, you should check out this other video that I made previously on my channel, where I give you all the insights from my 10 years working as a creative freelancer and how to avoid clients doing all the nasty stuff that they might do to you. No, not that kind of stuff. Also, check out my newsletter, Creativepreneur, where I give you a bunch of bi-weekly insights regarding all things living life as a creative freelancer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.